Are you someone who's interested in digital planning, but you have no idea where to start? Well, today I want to share with you where I would start if I were starting over again. So, if that sounds interesting to you, stay with me. Well, hi everyone, this is Crystal from A Crystal Clear Life, where we focus on planning, organizing, and living a more simplified life. And today, what I would like to do is I am thinking about 2026 and what I would like to put in my OneNote digital planner for 2026. But as I was doing that, I thought, well, let me go back and look and see what I did in the past, and maybe I'll have some new idea that sparks and maybe can tweak some things to make them work a little bit better for me. So that's what I want to show you today. If that sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn your notification bells all the way on. And if you have someone else who is wanting to learn OneNote or is wanting to start digital planning, please share this video with them. Okay? All right. Well, with all that out of the way, what I want to do is I want to take you way, way, way back in time to 2018. Now, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but when you think about it, it was 7 years ago. Seems like a different lifetime for me. Let me get my planner and let me show you what I was doing in 2018. So in 2018, I had this trusty notebook that, I don't know, it's got 2018, 2019 on the side. I probably picked it up from Marshall's or something like that. It simply has blank pages inside that have a space for the date and, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that kind of thing. I, in the past, have used Franklin planners. I have used day runners. I have used Blue Sky. I have used all kinds of planners that were pre-printed for me. And you know what? I found that I really wanted to do my own thing. So I got a notebook and I just started doing my own thing. But it's funny when you look back at something that you were doing 7 years ago and how much things are still the same for me. My planning style seems to be very much the same. So what was happening in my world in 2018 is I was wrapping up my teaching career. My daughter was graduating high school, going on to college. She had done some stuff at the community college and was going away now to a 4-year college, and that meant that I was free. I was retired. I could do my own thing. So that's what I wanted to document in this journal. But it's funny, when you open up the journal, very much on the inside, and I'm going to take some pictures so I can show you these things better, but I just want to show you that they really are in my journal. When you open up on the inside, there was a beautiful card that someone sent me about how to be a gardener. And so I put that in there kind of as inspiration for myself. And then, of course, I had my Read 2018 calendar. Again, it looks like it came from a card or something. And that's okay. Taped in there. It worked great. Okay. Then one of the other things that I noticed was in this planner, and again, I'm going to put a picture up here so you can see it. I was doing habit tracking, very much like I am today, where I have things across the top for the month, and then things like hydrating and keeping a food log and checking my ketone levels. Did I take my medication? Did I floss? Was I exercising? All that kind of stuff. Did I do my 10-minute tidy? And apparently in 2018, I was doing a no spend. So I wanted to spend some time not spending money. And so I was kind of tracking that as well. And then you can see on this other page here that I was still doing my vertical month at a glance kind of thing. So I was writing in anything that was important to me. And as you can see here on my screen, I am still using that vertical monthly, in my planner. And, I still have my year-long overview of my year-long calendars. So here's my 2025 year-long calendar that I am keeping. And, I just think it's funny that things really don't change that often. Okay. All right. Another page that I want to show you in my journal was this page here. And this was some of the dailies that I was using. Again, I'll put a photo so you can see. But the dailies, I was tracking, how much time I was spending doing things when the sun came up, when the sun went down. And I had all kinds of notes on this page. You can see from years of me using the Franklin Planner that I take a lot of notes during the day, and I write a lot of things down and check a lot of things off, as you can see here. And so I also have on this page a section that says calls, emails, and texts. And I think that's pretty funny because if you look at my November section and you go down to one of the daily pages in my November section, you see that I have lots of spaces for notes and places for all of my appointments and that kind of thing, so that I can kind of keep track of those. And instead of having my top 3 things to do, I made a whole prioritized list over here based on the Franklin Planner. Okay. All right. So I think that's really, really cool. Now I do have on my paper page kindness and gratitude. And today is special, something that I wanted to remember about that day. At the bottom of my daily tracker down here, on the page that I'm currently using, I'm currently just having a space to record things. It might be nice to go back and, share that kindness, because I'd like to put a little more kindness in the world that I've either given or received, and gratitude, and something about today is special. So I do kind of have 3 lines down there. I'm thinking that might be something that I add to my 2026 page. Let me know what you think. Does that sound like a good idea? Leave me a comment and let me know. Okay. Looking at a different page in my journal, this one now I'm into 2019. And you see, I kind of gave up on those daily pages and I went to my weekly workhorse, that I like to call it. And this one is from January 2019. And it even has a little flip out thing that's in there for the pancake supper that we were having at church. This was kind of a planning page for that. I have notes on the side. I have a list of things to do on the side. And then I have a section for each day of the week. And that might include appointments that I have, notes that I needed to take, that kind of thing. And then down at the bottom, there's a space again for notes. This note says, breathe and allow things to pass. And that was a quote from Warren Buffett. And I think that's pretty cool. Okay. But you see, there's all kinds of doodles on this page that I was just thinking about. And, I love having this kind of space. And when I go back and look in my planner that I have, I find that I have lots and lots of pages where I just have stuff written everywhere, especially on my inbox. Now, let me show you my inbox. Here's my inbox for November, and you can see I have all kinds of things written there. I have a recipe out here to the side that I wanted to remember. I have lists of things that I've marked off and information that I've written down and all of that kind of thing. So I think, even though it's in a different format, I think they look very much the same. Okay? It's the same style of planning is what I'm trying to say to you. So I have a monthly overview, which I need, and I'm going to keep that. I had a weekly page that was kind of my workhorse to help me plan out all of the things that I needed to do during the week. And then I have that daily page where I can take that stuff from the weekly page and move it to the daily page, prioritize it, and make sure that it gets done. Okay. And so I think that that is really important. I think moving into 2026 that I'm going to still include those 3 things in my planner. One thing I also noted when looking back through my planner is I loved having all of these pieces of paper. And as I flip through, you'll see there's lots and lots of postcards and things tacked in and, just events that I went to and that kind of thing. I love having those memories. It's kind of like a scrapbook. And if you think about what I have been doing in my digital planner, I've been doing something like that as well. So as you can see here for the month of August, I have my, my tickets and, postcards and photographs and things like that for memory keeping for things that we have done. So that is another thing that continues. I also have on this page here a list of quotes. These happen to be from Teddy Roosevelt. I was reading a book about Teddy Roosevelt, and I started making some notes on quotes that he said. So one of my favorites is keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. Okay. Anyway, so I think that's a really neat thing to keep those kinds of things in your journal too. And I have quotes and things like that in my journal. So my planning style really, really, really hasn't changed. Another section that I have added to my planners are, notes and projects and that kind of thing. This happened to be a project that happened when I became diagnosed with diabetes. And this was my frantic note of, reading up and taking as much information as I could, making lists of good foods to eat and bad things to eat. What did all those numbers that people kept talking about, what did they mean? So I made myself little charts and that kind of thing. I wrote down questions that I might want to ask the doctor. I looked for different supplements that might lower my blood sugar, that kind of thing. And so, again, this kind of information was something that I always was putting in my regular planner. And the thing that I love about OneNote is I can just then go back and search with this little search button up here for something like that. Like if I want to do quotes, can find a whole list of inspirational quotes that I might have stored away into my journal, okay, so that I can use for other things, okay? So I really, really like that because it's really hard. You've got to remember which book it was in, pull it off the shelf, look for it, when all you have to do in OneNote is do a digital search, okay? All right, so let's see. What else do we have in here that I wanted to talk about? I had some future planning as well. So I started thinking about if I was going to start doing some budget stuff, and kind of revamping my budget stuff. I started doing that in 2018. And you see here, I kind of have sketched out some ideas about what I might want to use for that. And if you've watched my video on my budget financial snapshot page and my dashboard, it's pretty much this page that I then implemented in digital form. So I think that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can show you that page in the computer. Okay, so you can see here is my master financial snapshot dashboard. And it very much looks like, the one that I just showed you in my paper planner. Okay. And the nice thing about this is as things change, I can change those things on the table as well. Okay. So for me, it started with an idea that I had written in my paper planner many years ago, and then I have turned it into digital. And that might be something that I would recommend for you as well. If you already have a paper planner system that you are using that is working well for you, simply try to recreate that in OneNote. I do have other videos on my channel going from paper to digital, where I show you a specific paper page, and then we turn that into a digital page. I will leave those linked for you down below so that if you'd like to check those out, you can. Okay. One last page that I want to show you in my old journal, and that was a Christmas baking plan. Here, that's what this side is. And for Christmas cards, and who I was sending Christmas cards to. And you can see that I checked them off when I sent them, and I marked them through if I received one from someone. And again, I have videos now on my channel about how I turned this baking plan page into a page that not only has what I want to bake, but the ingredients that I might need, so that I've kind of created my own shopping list right from that baking plan, which I think is really cool. So again, I'll leave those linked down below if you are interested. You can see I've always loved stickers and decorations in my planner. I'm not very artistic myself, but thank the Lord there are people who are artistic and can make these really cute stickers. And that is something that I use in my planner still to this day as well. Again, back to November, you know, I love being able to put all of these things together, because really, these are individual stickers that I'm using here. This deer is a sticker unto himself, and this mushroom is a sticker all by itself. And so I can play around with them. I can make them wider. I can make them bigger. I can move them around if I would like, okay? So I use all of these individual stickers like this grass, mushrooms, deer, etc. to create my own little vignettes or my own little ideas about, you know, what I would like, you know, my little scenes to look like, which I think that's really cool. I know you can do that with paper stickers as well, but you can't change the size of paper stickers. You know, you can't flip them around. Maybe I want this deer poking out from the other side. I can simply click on him. I can rotate him. So let's flip him, okay? And now I can have him peeking out from that side if I want, okay? That is certainly not something that you can do with paper stickers, okay? All right, I think that's really cool. Anyway, I was just really taken by the fact that when I went back to a planner that I was using 7 years ago, so many of the same kinds of things that I was doing then, I am still doing now. That's because they work for me. So I want to encourage you to take what is already working for you and start very simple with that. Let me go back and show you my very, very first digital planner that I made in OneNote. I finished 2019 in that journal, and my husband said to me, why don't you just try this in OneNote? You use it for everything else. Why don't you just try creating a planner? So I liked the look of a planner, so I wanted to create a planner page for myself. I took one of my favorite sunset pictures that you see here in the background as my planner background, and I put little stitching around it, and I played around with creating a graphic. Actually, I think this is a graphic that I borrowed from somebody to make my own page. Now, if you'd like to know how to make these graphics, I use PowerPoint. I'll leave a link down below for that as well. I have changed mine over the years. So this is 2020. And you saw in 2019 that I'm now using one that looks like this, where the spiral is on the far left-hand side. I feel like it doesn't break my page up as much, and so I like that. But if you want to learn to make that, you can. Or if you want to watch the entire process of me building my entire planner with all of these links and all of the links down the side for the pages, there is a playlist for 2024 that is very, very detailed and breaks each step down. Again, I'll leave that linked in the description box if you would like to see that. Okay, so back to 2020 though, if you look at my very first planner and you look back at this page that I was showing you earlier, you'll see they are very, very much the same. I have a notes section on this side. I have a list of things to do on the far side. And then I have actually in this case, it's an individual container for each day. So there's my Monday container. It's simply a table, a 2-column table where I put the date, Monday the 27th, and the time, 9:10. when I had different meetings, okay, and listed them there, okay. So that is all that I did for that. Okay, and you can see here that I used my pencil and I made a note of how many people were at the knitting meeting. And then the next day was pay the bills. And, you see I have some handwritten things on here, as well as some memory keeping. I did a little project with some of the ladies where we made these cute little snowman gift card holders. And so, that was really a fun activity to do. Apparently I can't stop teaching. I went from teaching children, high schoolers, to teaching senior citizens at church about technology and crafts and that kind of thing. And then finally I got onto YouTube. Anyway, apparently teaching is in my blood. But I just wanted to show you some very simple things that I started out with. And this was January. This is how it looked in January. Jumping on to February, you see I'm still keeping that same kind of thing, writing down a list of things I need for Home Depot, creating a to-do list here on the side. As we get into March, you see I changed things a little bit in March. I wanted to include a few more things. My days are still individual. You can see each container there. But I added dinner plans because I wanted to be able to plan out my dinners, and I put a little section up here for notes and my weekly goals, my top 3. And then I started doing an expense record too. Remember, I was doing a no spend in 2018. Well, that kind of continued. I'm always trying to save money and be as frugal as possible. And so I wanted to keep track of my spending, and I was rehoning a morning routine. So I have that written there as well. But again, there's all kinds of notes and things on the side, just like I would, tape into my journal. I would find things that I liked and put them on the side. When you get down to May, you see I had a lot of things going on in May, and lots of notes and things on the side. So my notebook was getting fuller and fuller. And then I decided to try something new in June. And so what I did in June is I started trying to make a list of things that I needed to get done every day. So I was, again, working on that daily routine. And so on Monday, I wanted to get these tasks done around the house. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then at the bottom, I was doing a schedule of the day. So these are things that I needed to get done, and then I would schedule them down here at the bottom, okay? And as my husband has now retired, I am thinking about going back to something like this so that he and I can sit down and say, well, what's the day that you want to do this? When's a good day for us to do work in the yard, at work on special projects in the garden, or, go to the grocery store or something like that. Not that we do everything together, but oftentimes we try to coordinate our schedules. So, for example, if he knows that I'm filming, he is doing something out of the house so that he is quiet. Okay? All right, so I'm thinking about going back to this, and I like looking through old planners to find things, that refresh my memory about things that I might want to do, okay? Then if you jump over to my 2021 life planner, in 2021, I was trying to combine things a little bit differently, but you see here, I was doing that same kind of thing. I have a list of prayers up here at the top, people that I'm praying for, and then the things that I need to get done that week, the most important things. Again, I'm working on my daily routine and my evening routine. I have my dinner plan still here. I'm still incorporating those things that I need to get done every day and scheduling them out down here at the bottom. This probably actually isn't the best page to look at. Let me see if I can find one that's better. Okay, yeah. So this one is better, where you can see, I actually have things listed up here. I have my meals. I have reflection up here at the top, an expense tracker. I'm doing some habit tracking on a weekly basis here. I have since discovered, nope, I really like what I was doing in 2018, where I was doing it on a monthly basis. So I moved it back to the month. And again, you see all of this stuff here on the side, all of these notes and things that I was taking, okay? And again, the beautiful part about doing it in OneNote is it is all searchable. All of the things that I have typed in here, I can search on. So for example, if I need to find my will update, okay? If I just go in here and type in the word will, it comes up and shows me not only the word will, where my will is and Michael's draft of his will, but it also shows things like Colonial Williamsburg or Williamsport Railroad. Okay, so all of those things come up, and I think it's great to be able to find things that quickly. And it also will show you where it is listed on each of the pages if the word will is there somewhere. Okay, so I think the search feature is amazing. Look at all of these options for the word will. Okay, just incredible. Okay, moving on to 2022. In 2022, I wanted to try using a DCP Digital planner that she had created because I really liked her holiday planner that she gave out in 2021. And so this graphic that you see here is just a background. It is just a graphic that I was then typing and creating text boxes on top of. And that worked okay. I went with the whiteout version, so it was all kind of gray so that all of my stickers and stuff worked. And I think I like that kind of gray tone. So I think I'm going to go back to something like that. I'm either going to use gray this year or in 2026 or like a neutral tan kind of color. Okay. And you'll see here on my page, there's that deer again. That is another great thing about digital stickers. I can use them over and over year after year after year if I want to. Okay. Here's one more page just to show you how different they can look. This was, we were getting ready to go on a trip. And so I had all of my flight information here as well. And, my planner for our trip to the UK and all of that kind of stuff. I was also tracking a television show that I was watching, all the different episodes and that kind of thing. So again, my planning style hasn't really changed that much. In 2023 is when I first made my own spiral and stuff. So I went back to having my own blank notebook, and I did this little black book. And I really loved this. I really love this. And what I had over here was basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday down the row. But you can see now I've gotten smarter. And this whole thing is one container. So I can move this one container around and keep all of my days together. Okay. So as you learn, you can refine and make changes to your planner. Okay. Again, I'm using cute little stickers. I have, let me zoom in here so you can see and so I can see. I have my top focus. I have projects that I'm working on, people that I want to pray for, my dinner plans, what's happening next week. Let's see up at the top here, what cleaning zone I'm working on. And you see in this one, I'm starting to put in those links that now are at the top of all of my pages. Here, I was just kind of creating those links to my cleaning list, to my monthly tasks and that kind of thing. So again, baby steps. As you learn something new, implement it into your planner, okay? Here are my weekly to-do goals, what I was doing for my YouTube channel since I was starting that, my daughter's work schedule, when I was getting my housework done, what I was putting on Instagram, communications with people, errands to buy, gratitude, celebrating the wins, and then of course all of these other notes that I have and quotes and things like that that I like to put in my notebook. Okay. All right. That didn't change very much. So for December, once you get to December of that same year, you see I now have all of my daily pages linked here on the side. So I can just click on that and it takes me right to my daily page. And in this case, I was using a daily page from DCP Digitals, and it was very simplistic and it worked really well. But again, I was then having to create text boxes on top of the graphic. And I found that I really like having tables to put things in. So this was an experiment again to go back and see if I like that. And I decided, nope, I really like having tables to be able to put things in. Okay. I just love these stickers. This is a sticker set that my daughter made for me. She's very artistic, and I just think it's so cute. She took my love of coffee and, gave me some syrup bottles and some baking things and, all that kind of stuff. And I just love them. I think I'm going to use them again this year for December. But again, here you can see I moved and put my week at the bottom, which today I am still doing that, my week at the bottom, and all of my list of things that I need to do. This really is following that GTD method where David Allen, in his book, Getting Things Done, tells you to create lists for the different things that you need to do, so that when you have a few minutes and all you have with you is your phone, you can look at your calls to make list. Oh, I've got this call to make, let me go ahead and do that. Or this text to send, let me go ahead and do that. Or if you're somewhere, you're at a store and you go, okay, what else do I need to buy? Let me look on my things to buy list. So that I can get all of that there. Okay. So really categorizing things is important. So you can see that I have lots and lots of lists in my weekly pages, which I think is really cool. Okay. Then moving on to 2024, let's pick a random month and see what was happening. Okay. So here is an April. And again, it looks very similar, right? But now, if you notice, everything is at the top in one big container so that things don't move around on me. Again, that was another thing that I learned, putting it all in one big container, nesting those tables inside of each other makes everything look really, really clean. Okay. And again, I have my dailies down here at the bottom, my weeks down here at the bottom. I'm still using those links across the top and the links down the side. They work great. If it's working, keep using it. Don't change it just because somebody says, well, you're not doing something new. Okay. All right. The whole point of having a planner is so that it's functional for me. I like it to be functional, but I also like it to be cute. So I will add little stickers to make it cute, but the functionality is critical. And one of the most functional pages in my notebooks are my inbox. So if you look here at my November inbox, you see how busy it is. If you go back and look at October at that inbox, you see how busy it is. All right. And here is August. Okay. So I need a place to dump things. And when you look back at some of these older pages, you might say, well, Crystal, there's not a whole lot of stuff there. Well, that's because I go back and at the end of every month, I clean that up. If I look here and I say, oh, here is a recipe, I will go ahead and move that to my recipe notebook. Okay, and get it off of this page and put it where it belongs. It's kind of like tidying up, tidying up your house. After an event is over, you go through and you put everything away. Well, that's kind of what I do at the end of the month. I go back and I find, like you see here, this cheesecake recipe. Okay, if this is something that I want to keep, I will simply take it and move it to my recipe notebook, which is Read Family Recipes right here. And then I can go to my dessert section and I can put it right in my dessert section. Okay. I can print the recipe out. I can, take a photograph of it. This happens to be a recipe that belonged to my Aunt Mary, who passed away 25, 30 years ago. And I still have her recipe. I took a picture of it from my recipe book. I then pulled the information out of that recipe simply by right-clicking and saying copy text from picture. And then it gave me this text that I could could organize the way that I wanted to. And so I think that's really great. Really, I want to say to you one more time, OneNote is not just my planner. OneNote is my life management tool. And I'm encouraging you to give it a try. Start with where you are and go forward and try it. Because I think you'll be surprised at how organized you can actually be. Do what already works for you and put that into OneNote and keep going. And as you learn new things, change what you're doing to implement those things that you were learning about and keep making it better and better and better. All right, well, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope that I gave you some inspiration today, that it's really not scary. Start from where you are, the things that you love in your current planner, and put them in OneNote. Start small, add to it as you learn new things. I think that's great. Okay, well, here's hoping that you can live a more simplified and organized life through better planning. I use OneNote. Until next time, okay, bye.